that are locked in from their evolution and from their nature. They're just stuck where they are, at whatever number they are.
Right, sir.
Okay,
right,
I get it. So let me talk about you just a little bit. You were born in Vietnam. What are your recollections of the war? I imagine it was a terribly traumatic time for you. Please tell us from your perspective what it was like.
Yes, it was. War is never good, you can tell. Of course, especially for a child, these horrible and frightening sceneries as dead bodies everywhere on the roadsides, rotten and exploded houses of a neighboring burnt-out field of coconuts and burnt-out field of rice is not ideal for children to grow up with. And the deafening cannon sound, I used to feel like my heart would explode inside my chest or run away from me, and my ear was so deafening because they just shooting cannon every day, and it's very near where my house is. It's not just bad for the fragile physical body, but it's left you terrible, disturbed, and feeling ill, feeling unwell, depressed, and for no reasons. As a helpless child, what can you do? Yeah, war is never good. And even not good for the aggressors as well, because they will have to pay for the suffering they cause to others. Even if they have the right to do that, the bad retribution still have to be measured out against both sides. And there's untold suffering in all human aspects. You know that, psychologically, mentally, emotionally, and physically. I think war is a consequence of our neglect to the less fortunate brothers and sisters and the less fortunate beings. If our society elevate to a more compassionate levels of consciousness and all beings are treated with respect and love, then we will never have war, because it's no good for anyone, for the strong and the weak.
Clearly so. You were a young child during that time, were you not?
Yes, very young, not even 10.
And I was actually in the United States Army at that time, although I did not get to visit your country. Fortunately, not at that time, because that would have been terrible for all of us.
Oh.
But I think it'd be wonderful to visit Vietnam.
And now, yes.
And see how it has grown.
Now, yes.
I understand that you saw an elementary school teacher, just a very gentle man, shot by a stray bullet.
Yes, my own teacher.
And that must have hurt you deeply and very personally.
Yeah, you read my poem about it, and I could not even express enough. As a child, I wrote the poem like that, and you know how I felt.
Yes, yes. Now, you've traveled. You worked for the Red Cross in Germany, and you also saw terrible suffering. And while you were there, you married a doctor, yes?
Right.
How long were you married?
2 years.
But you realized that you had a spiritual path to follow. So presumably you sat with your husband and you said, I have to follow this. And he said, I understand. And he was in agreement that this was your path.
Yeah.
Can you tell us anything about that time in Germany?
It's been a long time, and I almost forgot about it. But it was very difficult, as you can imagine, for both of us. And I cried a lot before I left him. He wasn't crying outside, but, I feel he's crying inside. And he went to visit me even in the Himalaya later on, yes. And we met again afterward, and it's like nothing has happened. But still, I had to go because it's already difficult to live once time. I cannot go and do it again and again. So in Vietnam we say rather die apart than live separately.
Really?
So it was just because the world was full of suffering and I cannot enjoy my own personal happiness. That's the reason.
Yes.
I would have loved to take him with me, but he's a physician. He loves his job, and I'm sure he's doing good for the world, for his patients, because he was an excellent and loving, compassionate, and kind doctor. Often he shared with me his sorrow of some case that he cannot help.
Sure. That was his work, and this was yours.
Yes, and I thought I had to do something to help humanity in a different way. Like the Buddha, I was idealistic, and I read the Buddha and my Jesus, they all left their family to go and find a solution to the suffering and the remedies to cure the ill of the world. So I left him, but we were in friendly way. But
That's good.
he was suffering a lot of pain. I wouldn't recommend anyone to do this. If you are in love too much, I think it's very painful.
I must say that men are not so good at crying. I agree. Your husband was probably crying deeply inside to lose such a person as you. You met a perfect master in the Himalayas. We're going to have to go to a break in a little over a minute. So if you can start talking about your experience in the Himalayas, then we'll take a break and then we'll come back and continue.
All right. You see, this is something that's difficult to tell people because it's almost like out of this world. I went all over the world in search for a perfect master, enlightened master, to guide me to enlightenment. And finally, heaven has rewarded me with God's grace.
So you did meet somebody. I think we'd better leave it here because if we start talking about it, I'm not going to want to take a break.
Sure, we'll do it later.
Okay, so today is 9/11, as you know, the anniversary of the terrible terrorist attacks on our city, New York City, our country, the United States, and in taking down those two towers. We are going to take an extra minute to commemorate that event.
Yes.
And here we go.
I'm sorry also, and I hope this never happen again. Anywhere. May God bless America.
In memory of September 11th, on the 7th anniversary of the September 11th, 2001 tragedy, many U.S. churches, universities, and other groups are holding gatherings and prayer services to honor the 3,000 who lost their lives. U.S. presidential candidates have pledged to set aside their campaigns for the day, and in New York City, a memorial service is being held to observe a moment of silence.
To the Supreme Master Ching Hai, I want to express my deepest thanks for the enormous support members of the Meditation Association have offered us. We are absolutely grateful for the gifts of caring and concern that have been given to us, the generous financial contribution and the personal expressions of caring and concern mean so very much to our workers, but very importantly to the people who've been affected directly by this horrible tragedy.
7 years ago, after the event occurred, Supreme Master Ching Hai immediately sent more than $260,000 to organizations aiding the victims. Combined with our association members' contributions, the total donations amounted to more than $350,000. Contributions were personally delivered to the American Red Cross, the Salvation Army, Crisis Link, which is an organization to help families of the Pentagon victims, the Virginia Hospital Center, and the Firefighters Memorial Fund.
We really, really appreciate your rescue team. Thank you very much for everything that you're doing for the Salvation Army, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Supreme Master Ching Hai, for all the support, both spiritually and financially, and we are very grateful here at the American Red Cross.
In September 2001, Supreme Master Ching Hai had also sent our association's relief team to the Ground Zero site. As one of the 3 non-governmental organizations allowed to enter, our association's mobile food truck served hot vegetarian meals around the clock to the rescue workers.
Yeah, you were one of the few outside of the United States agencies that came and worked with us in this disaster relief.